Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? This is my first time, like she stated earlier, and I'm a little shy. Let me have it, please. It's my moment. Let me have it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Arcade 2025. Are you excited? Are you excited? I don't want to say I'm better than everyone, but I'm flanked, but romance to my left, to my right, and right in front of me, romance girl is staring at me straight in the eye. Tell me this is in heaven they talk about. So yeah, welcome. I'm coming. I'm struggling to get my left and my right. Forgive me. This is my left. Thank you so much, Alice. So by my left, I have Bolu, Babalola. When I heard that I was handling this panel, I screamed, like, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say because I read Honey and Spice. And I'm like, you know what? I will be talking to you. But it's not about Honey and Spice today. It's about sweet hits. Are you excited?
Very, very.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fatima? Hello. We're here again.
Yes.
And this time is for Ibrahim.
Ibrahim Gaya.
I feel like Ahmad should take a step back. Yes. I'm sorry. Ahmad has to go. All right, let's proceed. We'll talk about that later. But it's really good to be here with you all. So let's start off. Our team is reclaiming truth. And it's such a significant one for me because we're surrounded by lots of lies. So let me ask you this question. You write romance, you write about love, the representation of love we want to see as black girls and African girls and as Muslims and as Northerners. What is the one truth about love you wish people would admit openly? One truth about love you wish they would come out with their full chest and say, this is it. Who am I starting with? Who wants to go first?
I mean, love is always a risk and it's always terrifying. It's always scary. But actually, I think that's what makes it really beautiful because the truth about it is for love to be real, you kind of have to put faith in this person and hope that they won't break your heart. And even though it's terrifying, I think there's something beautiful about being able to trust somebody else. And I think that kind of harks into the truth, the beauty of humanity, because how does the world even function without trust? Even the basic contracts of how we live as humans in a society relies on trust. So I think that at its heart, love really reflects who we are as human beings. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful one. Some of you here are going without trust. Learn to trust. All right, ladies. Fatima, let's hear what your truth about love.
I think there's this build up to sort of paint romantic characters as perfect, but honestly, I think love that endures is when you see through the imperfections and you still accept people for who they are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. So now I got a second question for you. Something I've always wondered about all books. Like, what was that moment that it clicked? Like, I need to give these people Ahmad. I need to give these people Malachi. When did you get this big idea for this book? I'm starting with Fatima this time around. Where did it occur to you that the Northern girl is, not just the Northern girl is, everyone needs Ibrahim. They need to see representation of love through the lens of Ibrahim.
To be honest, I don't think I had any grand agenda when I was writing Ibrahim Babangida. The only thing I knew I wanted to change was for Ahmed. He was rich and it sort of influenced everything. So I wanted someone who was a bit different. So I wanted someone who didn't have the privilege that, my previous character had. I honestly just wrote that character with truth from a place, from a place of, there's this story I've heard when I was growing up. It's about a man who does what Ibrahim did. And I've always sort of wondered, like, what compelled him to do something like that? So there was no really, I was really planning. I didn't think people would prefer him, over the other character. But I think somehow, just watching him through the way he loved Zoira has really, gained him a lot of goodwill.
Hey, that's beautiful. Let's hear from Malachi.
Similarly to Fatima, I didn't have a big agenda. I think that I've always loved love, and to be honest, I thought about Kiki first and the kind of woman that I wanted to write. And as I wrote her, I was thinking about, okay, what kind of man is worthy of her, and what kind of man will she allow space for? Because her standards are very high. She's very guarded. She's very emotionally guarded. So what kind of man will allow her to feel safe and soft? And that's how Malachi came about. And it just so happens that he resonates with a lot of Black women, a lot of African women, a lot of Nigerian women. But it was somebody who could handle her strength, but also allows her to be really soft and vulnerable and brave within that as well.
That's beautiful.
So I do a reverse Adam and Eve. Create the woman first and then the man.
All right, so the third question coming is something romance girlies do wonder about. Like, we do think about it. But let me first ask, what part was intense for you to write? By intense, it's a lot of things for me. By intense, I mean emotionally intense, steamy, intense, spicy, intense. What part of this book was like, you know what, I need to touch grass. Let me close this book and touch grass a little.
I love that question because for me, the emotional intensity and the physical intensity are very, very linked. There's two super intimate scenes in this book, and they're both reflective of their emotional state, even though they're doing kind of the same thing. In the first one, they're very this is the first time they've met in years. They're hiding their true emotions, but they're very physically attracted to each other. But the emotions are still there, but they're not admitting it to each other. So that reflects in how they're interacting with each other physically, even though it's really fun, it's really steamy. There's some things that they're just low-key, hiding from each other. And they're focusing more on the physical act because they're not trying to think about the emotions. Whereas the second act, it's led by their emotions, and it's slower, and it's more like they're relishing it, and they're more honest within that. So they were really tricky. I almost feel like intimate scenes are similar to fight scenes because they have to demonstrate the mental state and the emotional state of somebody. And it's not just, okay, they touch you there, and it's how they react to the touch, why they're touching there. And they took a while because I was balancing a delicate thing, a dance really, between emotions and physicality. And also it has to be really hot and fun to read at the same time.
Right. So you have that part in mind. Can you read it to us?
Okay, so in choosing this, right, I was like, I don't want to go too deep, so to speak, but it's the build up. Also, are we allowed to say the F word here? Okay. Okay, just double checking. Okay. Just checking, guys. Okay. I feel Malachi step closer behind me, and every hair on my body stands to attention at the static. What were you trying to prove? The question draws my attention from the lights in the dark outside and back to the lights in the dark of his eyes to see the curiosity in them searing. That I was over you. My gaze meanders to his mouth because I can't help it. It's dusky and velvet and full. If I bite it, I want it will drip all over me like juice from a ripe mango. Which I am. Truth licks at my lips at the same time his tongue darts out to wet his. Emotionally. I can feel myself turning against sense, rebellion bounding against my brain. There's a primal, prowling flavor of boldness that only awakens around him. And while I've tried to tame it, it rattles against my ribcage. It's zooming within it, making itself known. I see Malachi's throat depressed slightly, and I'm acutely aware of every molecule in the room, every atom of air between us. He nods, fighting his own petty war, his eyes running between my eyes, my lips, and now they fall to my gown where my nipples rock under satin, preen under his focus, pushing up against the fabric, petulant, having had to suffer the absence of his attention for so long. And physically, Physically, I know exactly what Malachi looks like when desire is colonizing his senses. He blinks slow, like he's doing now, his mechanisms of reasons becoming sticky with lust, and it's a loop, a contagion, because the intensity of his focus makes it hard for me to think, to breathe, to remember that this is a bad idea. Physically, it's hard to be in the same room as you. I draw half a step nearer, despite my brain's direct orders to grab my phone and leave. My body's angry at you. Malachi's lids are heavy now, his eyes hazy, stormy, serious clouds. Yeah, my body's fuming. It's hard. Malachi tilts his head and the scan over my body sends a hot shiver through my form to even look at you. His scents waft over me, hits me like a drug, and I realize why I recognize the notes. You smell good. Is that the same cologne I got you 4 years ago? I bought another bottle after it ran out. Shit ain't cheap. You must have really been down bad. I shrug. I was just trying to run up my Amex points. The corner of Malachi's mouth flicks up, and he looks at me in a way that only he can, with knowledge. His eyes read my face, dancing between mine, my lips, my nose, and over again. I know this refrain well. It used to be my favorite part of my favorite song, and warmth in my gut moves, silky and molten. It's a mirage, I know, a ghost feeling, but I'll take it for now. This is just for now. You look good, Kiki. Malachi lifts his hand to gently hold my chin with his thumb and forefinger, and my breath hitches. Is that the same face you had when I met you 8 years ago? More or less. More. He allows his thumb to budge just shy of a couple of centimeters, a fraction of a stroke, but I feel it in my joints, in my toes. Electricity thrums through the base of my belly downwards. Guys, it's only 2 more pages, guys. I swallowed the new lump in my throat as he continues, which is unreasonable, but I've never known you to play fair. The heat in his proximity erases a patina from a dormant want in me, making it new again. I'm in grave danger because though my brain recognizes that there's nothing here, my body doesn't seem to be acknowledging time nor space, just the feeling I get when his body is millimeters from mine. A hot need, the instinct to slip into his skin. The light in the suite is dim, amber with the lamp, and still in the dull, his skin has a luster that lures my lust, and my body's trust stretches out, yawning, missing the sweet mellow of his energy. Man, he is so beautiful to me still. I can't deny that.
Okay. Okay. I know it. If you want more, we've got stocks of it out there. If you want more of that chemistry, the bookstore is right there. So Fatima, your turn.
Sorry, guys.
That's the point. Leave you wanting more.
Okay, so for context, Hafsatu is another Nigerian girl. She's a business owner, and a few pages prior, she turned down her cheating fiance's proposal. All right, so there's a blind item from an Instagram blog. Exclusive blind item. They tried to bury us, but they did not know we were seeds. We will grow and keep growing until we uproot the secrets that Abuja residents hide underneath their holy garments. Speaking of garments, this one puts them on people, but is secretly taking hers off for the camera. Yes, you heard it here first. Her name starts with "Had I Known" and ends with "2 for trouble." We're talking about really shameless pictures, and if she tries to shut us down this time, we will publish them. Or better yet, 100,000 likes, and I promise to publish the first one. Hint, red lace. I read the post over and over. They tried to bury us. Garments. Starts with "Had I known." The more I read the post, the more I'm certain that it's about me. The not so subtle references to my name and my business. And the worst part, red lace. In one of the pictures I sent to Bashir while we were dating, I was wearing a red lace push-up baby doll lingerie. I even remember the day I bought it at Victoria's Secret on a shopping spree with Ilham last summer. After we picked out underwear, sleepwear, and loungewear, we started goofing around with the mannequins that displayed sexy, naughty lingerie. And I decided to buy a few just for fun. In those days, things were going great with Bashir, and he always wanted pictures of me because of how much he missed me. Not regular ones like the ones on your Instagram, he had said. Something no one else had seen. One evening, a few days before I returned to Abuja, I stayed back at the apartment, blaming a headache. Bashir was already halfway back to London after spending some time with me and my sisters, and I surprised him with a few pictures in some of the lingerie I got. I thought they would be enough, but a few days later, he continued asking for more with less on. I glance back at my screen now. People are already tagging their friends and encouraging others to tag other people so that they can get to 100,000 likes. If those pictures end up on the internet, I will never be able to show my face again. I scroll through my contacts and I find Bashir's number, unblock him, and within seconds, his messages flooded my inbox. I ignore all of them and I call him instead. It keeps ringing and he doesn't pick up. With shaky fingers, I type a text. What did you do with my pictures? I read the message and then I delete it. Sending a text is a bad idea. A message like this with my name on it would just end up on Boot Gist with the pictures solidifying the so-called evidence. I dial his number again and started pacing my office as the ringing continues for what seems like forever. When he finally picks up, the background is noisy. I can hear voices belonging to guys and girls laughing. Are they laughing at me? Bashir. Madam, so you still have my number? He laughs. So tell me, to what do I owe this pleasure? I cover my arms with my eyes with my palm, trying to keep calm, but it's not possible. What if I'm on speaker right now? What if the people around him are listening? Is Boot just one of the people he hangs out with? Nerve-wracking thoughts cross my mind, one after the other, and I'm in such a state of panic at the thoughts of my pictures leaking, at my parents seeing them, my siblings, Sadiq, or his family. Oh my God. Bashir, I need to see you. I can't be direct in my conversation with him because who knows if he's even recording this call. I hear a shuffle in the background, and then he says, you can come and meet me. We're at Zuma Grill. There's no way I'm driving to meet him at the grill at the Hilton. But I'm a little stunned at the unusual cockiness in his voice that he didn't have in the past. It's crisp and rude, and it's a cue I need to drop whatever subtlety I'm playing at. He tells me that he knows exactly why I'm calling. I take a deep breath. What did you do with my pictures? The background chatter stops. Maybe he moves away, or maybe they kept quiet to listen. Whatever it is, there's too much adrenaline in me to care. What pictures? He says. I can tell that his mouth is full, like he's eating something. The Kali pictures, you never deleted them like I asked you to, right? Oh, those pictures. Why? What happened? He's always on his phone. He's always on Instagram. If I have seen the latest blind item, I'm sure he has too. I hope you're not trying to get back at me by leaking those pictures, I ask. He's so quiet from the other end that I think the connection has been lost. Hello? Hello? The smug way he answers does nothing to hide the insolence in his voice. Well, now my mother will know why I broke off our engagement. My heart drops. What? Bashir, are you? He hangs up before I finish speaking. I'm in trouble.
That was quite emotionally intense. I can remember reading that and swearing at I shouldn't. But I wanted to beat up that character. Queen. So let's proceed. Hafsatu Baby is set in Abuja and the northern parts of Nigeria because it goes through different states. And for Sweet Hit, London Babe, what is the personal connection you have with this place that you decide to set your story right there?
I grew up in London and I know London very well, and it's a very Black British love story. We don't actually have a lot of Black British love stories. London's a very loveless place. So I really wanted to write that and celebrate that because it exists, but we just don't see it in the media. And it was really important for me because a lot of the setting is in Kiki's parents' restaurant, and it's a lot of where a lot of Nigerian community, communes together and eats together, breaks bread, celebrates together. And I think that harks to, my parents when they first came to London and the communities that they built. So it was really important for me to pay homage to that sense of family and belonging and home in a foreign, cold country.
Good. Fatima?
Nice. So for Kaduna, I grew up in Kaduna. I went to school in Kaduna. Zamani alum. Yeah, so as a matter of fact, the street I mentioned, Ungwerimi, is where I grew up in. Yeah. And but funny enough, I also mentioned Jos, and I've actually never lived in Jos. So I was doing a lot of Google research and like watching movies set in Jos and just trying to make sure I get it right. And yeah, so so for Kaduna, that's the connection, and for Jos, there's really no personal connection there yet.
Good. So now let's get to my favorite part about books. I am addicted to characters. I feel like character-driven story sets my heart on a different pedestal. So now let's go to our wonderful characters. I want to start off with Zuweria. She's different. Zuweria, she's different. Forgive me, Zuweria. Zuweria. She's different. The character growth was absolutely insane. We saw her go from timid errand girl to her uncle's mean wife, to the wife, child bride, to an abusive man. So, I'm sorry. So now we want to see how were you able to achieve this character growth? Because we saw her grow so much and it was like addictive. We didn't want to leave the pages like, what is this character going to do next? How were you able to capture her growth? That it felt so real. Like I felt it. I felt like I was growing alongside this character.
Thank you, Leonora. I'm glad you think that way. I think there was a cheat code though. I think because we see her growth through the eyes of other people, that's why it sort of feels whole, it feels complete. So she wasn't narrating her story alone, right? And I think as the story continued, you realize that you've been reading about her since the beginning and you know her more than you think you do, right? But yeah, I think it's because we see her through the eyes of other characters, especially because they describe her in very different ways. So you're sort of able to have a whole picture of her, I would say.
Beautiful. Now for Kiki. Kiki is a character that will take you through 5 stages of grief. You can't. Oh, come on. We all know Kiki was a whole meal. Kiki was a character that I see and I'm like, Kiki, who are you? Like, who are you? Who are you? So how are you able to do this? This character would pull you out, pull you in. Like, well, how are you able to give us this wonderful character?
I don't know. They just genuinely feel like real people to me. When I write, I do a lot of character work. I write character-driven novels. My characters, plots. The plot is constructed around them and their emotions. So for that to happen, you have to really know your characters inside out. And I think before I do anything, when I write something new, I focus so much on who is this person, what are their desires, even things that don't end up in the book. I want their whole backstory, their future, everything. So when I come to write it, it just feel like real people. I don't think about them as characters. And sometimes, it's so funny, sometimes I'll try to make Kiki do something, and she's like, no, I'm not doing that. And I have to rewrite the whole thing, because I know them so well that they will clash against a control that I try to have. So you have to kind of work on your characters so well that they almost take over the story, and it's beyond you. But I genuinely just love them. Like, I love Kiki. Like, she's a real person, multi-layered, flawed, a little messy, stubborn, really vulnerable, really sensitive, but tries to overcompensate for the sensitivity. And so that comes out. And that's why I really loved writing the argument scenes between Malachi and Kiki, because all their worst traits come out, but you can still see the love there as well. And like you said, that's what love is, flawed people.
That's beautiful. If you haven't read that book, go give Kiki a short. And now you know what we're talking about. Now let's jump into chemistry. And I'm not talking about the regular titration and organic chemistry. It's not because I'm traumatized by that topic, but this is let's not go there. I still have trauma. But let's talk about character chemistry. The chemistry between your characters. And by your characters, we're looking at Ibrahim's own connection with his beautiful wife, Zuwaira. How are you like? So this Zuwaira, I have an R tongue. Zuwaira. Zuwaira. So now let's look at this connection, this chemistry they had. It was suiting. When you read about other romance, like some feel electric, like some is instantaneous, like you feel it is tingling. But this one was suiting. Like it was steady and you could feel it.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
Okay. I think that relationship was amplified because I was very intentional in comparing it or sort of putting it side by side with the contemporary relationship, so the younger couple's relationship in the book. I felt like their strengths could only be highlighted if I had something to compare it against. And I was like, there are things we won't actually enjoy or appreciate if I'm not telling you what dating is right now in 2024 or 2025, right? So I think the contrast between Sadiq and Hafsat's relationship sort of makes you appreciate the beauty and the simplicity and there's even this naiveness to it. There's this, it's so beautiful. It's so, yeah. So I really love that story so much that I just said I didn't want it to stand alone as, its own book or its own story. I wanted something to compare it against. And so I think when you read and, you're going through Sadiq's and Hafsat's and then you go back to 1998, I think that's what makes you feel like, and everyone tells me like they prefer Zuwaira and Ibrahim's story. Everyone is always like, I prefer that love story, which is very surprising to me because I thought Roman girlies liked, the rich guys and everything, but no, he was a broke guy that for some reason sort of stole everybody's heart. So I'm glad you think that way.
Oh, thank you. Now let's head to Kiki and Malachi Karaday. It was electrifying. The banters, the drama. It was, I was tensed because I don't know what to expect next. How did you give us that?
Oh, I think their chemistry is really based on, they're physically attracted to each other, but it's actually how their minds connect. They're really good friends. And that was really, I don't really understand the concept of romance without that friendship connection. And they really know and in this book, they really know each other really well. And they're two people who know each other really well, but are acting like strangers and have this distance between them. And that was really fun to write because you now have to balance their chemistry, which is very natural to them, with them trying to manually put a stop to their chemistry, but it doesn't work. And so you have this tension of them like fighting, but even in their fighting, you can just hear how much they genuinely like each other as people and how much they connect, no matter how hard they try. And that was really fun for me. It's interesting that you say like this warmth because I think in this book, in the Honey and Spice, they were in university, so it was more of the electricity. Here, I feel like it's more of a grown chemistry, and it's a slower burn, and they're also trying to heal at the same time. And so you have all of this, like, basically heartbreak trauma that's in the middle of their chemistry. And so I feel like it kind of amplifies it a bit more because it's like they're so hurt and they're so angry at each other, and yet the chemistry kind of overrides that. So yeah, it was really fun. It was really hard for me to write, but it was really fun for me to write at the same time.
That's beautiful. Now let's compare tropes. For the romance girlies in the house, what is that romance trope you always go to?
Yeah.
I feel like this would always be an argument. Would you also agree with me that the second chance romance is difficult to nail? It's either you love it or So it's like an in between. Please let's keep it down and enjoy the session. Thank you so much.
You asked the trope question. The trope question has people all riled up. You
Yes.
know.
So now this is I when I read it, I'm like, I'm not a fan of second. Like, if you don't walk before, you know they walk again. Yes. But when I saw the reunion, when he told us there's a sequel coming, I think he hinted that during the 2023 like for Honey and Spice. I'm like, side eye, but we go regardless. But then again, I read it and I'm like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the second chance. It's just the way it is written.
Exactly. But the thing is, like, this is why I don't. This is maybe controversial, but I don't think in tropes. I think about the relationship of my characters. And so with Honey and Spice, yeah, it's friends to lovers, but it's really about Kiki and Malachi and how they connect. With this book, it was about a love that through external circumstances had some conflict and then they went away, you know, a distance separated them. And how are these people who have genuine love and chemistry going to come back together? It just so happens to be a second chance romance, but this was true to these characters. So I would encourage everyone to open their minds and think about characters and how a book is written rather than restrict yourself to tropes. Otherwise, you're cutting yourself off from like beautiful love stories. You never know what you're into.
See, so you've heard, right? Give second chance romance. Okay, for Hafsatu and Sadiq, it was kind of, I saw their connection and it was like, okay. But then Ibrahim's connection, it was like different tropes in one book. How did you nail that for us?
Actually, now that we're talking about it, I started thinking and I was like, okay, actually, there's a few tropes in there. There's like the enemies to lovers, and then there's friends to lovers, which I personally love. And there's second chance because, yeah, so there is second chance. And yeah, I think it's just like Bolu said, it's friendship, you know, it's you have something tangible, you kind of want to highlight that. And I think it's friendship to love will always work because I feel friendship is the foundation to true love. So yeah, I don't think I was setting out to sort of like take the tropes and stuff, but eventually it sort of came out like that. And I'm like, oh wow, look, there's even a one bed trope in there as well. So yay.
That's really beautiful. So if you want to explore those tropes, like I said, books are what? Out there. And you give it a shot. But now let's go deep with our theme, reclaiming truth. So let's look at what books have really strong women. Women who are strong and independent. Kiki is one to chase after that dream. I don't care if it's crazy to you. That dream, I'm going to chase after it. But now let's look at this book centers about women rediscovering their voices. Women rediscovering their voices, recovering from heartbreak and different sort of tragedies. So now I want to ask you, how do you see emotional honesty and the right to feel as form of liberation and activism for women?
Well, do you want to go first? I think from birth, the world foists upon us this need to, or this idea that we need to put a mask on and pretend and be perfect and perform in a way. So even just saying, no, I don't want to do that is a form of freedom and liberation and activism because the world is always telling us, don't do this, be this. Especially as a woman, you have to conform to so many stereotypes and notions of femininity when femininity is just who we are and femininity is being honest to who we are. So I think that it's innately radical to use our voices in a world that tries to silence them, in a world that tries to suppress our movements and I think they're scared as well. It's a fear because women are very, very powerful. Obviously, we're very, very intelligent. And they're scared of what will happen if we use our voices. So I think it's just innately powerful to speak out. Even if it's the smallest thing, just to speak out and changing something to be more comfortable for you is very powerful.
Thank you so much for that one. We are really smart. So today, go out there and tell yourself you're a really smart person and you have
I'm
the right to
powerful.
feel and you're powerful. Let's hear from you, Fatima.
Exactly, it's the same thing. I feel like from a culture, and not just the Nigerian culture, actually, I think it's pretty much all over. It's global. A culture that expects you to be quiet or to sort of be the one who would give leeway or the one who will make the changes or the one who would, give the grace to the other person. I think we, as a society, or the books we're writing now, sort of show ladies who reclaim their voices, and I like that it's sort of different across cultures. Here, reclaiming your voice might not be very loud. No, sometimes it's in subtlety as well. So I think there's that silent strength in the women that I write about. Of course, I love reading about Kiki. I love that strength, but I know how it might not work for all the girls, exactly. So there's also the silent strength of women. Even someone like Hajia Ua. This is a woman who was, married multiple times. She's a matriarch, in her family, and you see how, she sort of, in her own ways, she has her power. She holds, she does womanism and feminism in her own ways. So I think it's very important to write stories about the different ways women do things, and they have always done these things this way for decades, actually. Especially in a place like northern Nigeria, where it's the woman is seen and not heard, kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely.
People should clap. It's been really wonderful. And please clap your hands. So now this is me trying to sneak into your writing process to wrap it up. Maybe. I wanted to ask, this is not your first work, obviously. Comparing Honey and Spice to Sweet Heat, what did you do differently? Because as a reader, I could see the growth in the growth, just not just the character, but the writing style, how immersive it was. What did you do differently with Sweet Heat?
I always aim to be better than my last book. That's number one. So I think you're always working on craft. For me, it's just challenging yourself. I read a lot, and I read a lot of poetry a lot. So literally, like the technicality of my craft deepens more and more because I read wider and wider with every book. But also, I think I'm just older, and I'm wiser, and so and I'm open to learning, and I just never want my last book to be the best book that I'll ever write. And with Sweet Heat as well, I think there were more complex emotions that I was dealing with. And so they demanded me to look deeper within myself and excavate love and its many dimensions and how we are flawed as people and how love can survive even when we make mistakes. Whereas in Honey and Spice, yeah, there's a bit of that, but it's a collegiate romance. And so they meet and they're in this bubble. And now I'm dealing with how the world interacts with love and what happens when tragedy strikes and your head is gone and you're grieving and you're depressed, but you still have somebody that you're in love with. That's real life stuff. And that took a lot of emotional excavation and psychological excavation. And so when you're doing that, you're learning a lot and you go deeper. And I think your writing just grows. We just have to pay attention to the details. But it's just, yeah, I think with every book, I always aim to be better.
So, Fatima.
So with Hafsatu Baby, I wanted it to be more about culture than religion with my previous book. There's a lot of things we don't talk about. It's something like Ferenkafa, which means a girl who brings bad luck into the family she marries into. I think that's such an unfair thing that a lot of women go through, right? Especially younger girls, she'll be accused of being the reason why her husband is losing his wealth, for instance. And it's not just, in rural places. I'm talking about really educated families as well. They sort of buy into this, which sort of goes against the dictates of our religion, right? So I sort of wanted to highlight that, like, if you're so big on religion, this shouldn't be something you subscribe to. And I think ultimately I was able to also bring in secrets, which is my favorite topic. You know how much I love secrets. Hush hush culture, of course. And we have good secrets and bad secrets, right? And as you read the book, you realize that big family secret was kept hidden for good reason. Unfortunately, the person who should have been told found out about it, and we sort of see how it sort of dismantles her confidence and changes her life and everything. So I think I sort of wanted to explore that secrets within families as well.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful one. Are you having fun? So now you want to ask questions. Let's proceed. Slow down, ladies. She, she was the first.
Good day, everyone. Okay, so my name is Esther Chidibere. I'm so happy to be here. This is my first Ake festival. And I came all the way from Port Harcourt to be here. Yeah. Okay, so Fatima Bala. First off, let me start this not with a question, but I want to commend you for your writing. Yeah, because I'm a Christian from the East, grew up in the south of Nigeria all my life. And then to have read your book, Broken, and I found it so relatable. Faiza's story, yeah. So, it's a testament to how good an author you are, how good a storyteller you are, that other religions are able to find themselves in your character. So, well done. That was awesome. So, then my question is, as an author, and as a Muslim that you are, did you, while creating these stories, especially for Hafsatu Baby, did you think, were you scared that telling Zuwaira's story, especially concerning, I was trying to be correct to the pronunciation. So yeah, were you ever scared that telling Zuwaira's story, her first marriage to her husband and the abuse she faced, were you scared that sorry, please. Were you scared that you were going to be feeding into the stereotype? Were you scared that you were going to get backlash, that people were going to say, oh, it's true what we've been hearing in the South, that this is how Muslims are? So please let us know about that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. um, I don't think I was scared about that. It is what it is. And if Ibrahim doesn't give you the other side, why would you latch on to the negative side, right? So I felt like I was given a very open view of even something like polygamy. Like I thought I wrote polygamy beautifully in the sense that, oh, like you don't have to do anything. Everything is done for you kind of thing. Um, but unfortunately, there were things that went wrong. So no, I didn't think. Maybe it was actually subconscious because I guard culture very fiercely. So I think it was actually intentional. Instead of writing Ringim the way I wrote him, I was like, yeah, he is abusive, but Ibrahim is also this way. So he's a great guy. So yeah, now I think it was intentional actually to sort of show the contrast between two Muslim men, two northern Muslim men, and it's because it's really not about religion and it's not about tribe. You'll find abuse everywhere, right? Yeah.
You are not
Two
giving
from
me.
the other angle. We'll get two from the other angle. Don't worry. We're coming. Up, of course.
If you had not given me this microphone, I actually would have sued Aki Festival. Hi. Hi, Fatima. Hi, Bolu. Hi, Bolu. Your number one fan here. Everybody will say they're your number one fan, but they're lying. It's me. So I love, obviously, anybody who knows me knows I love Malaka and Kiki. So it was nice to get into their world again. And I think with stickers, you either nail it or you don't. But you nailed it, thank God. And I think that with Kiki and Malachi this time, I think what stood out to me was they were so grown, like in everything, even in the chemistry, even in their intimacy. I was like, oh, Kiki, get it, girl. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. I made her more confident. Yeah, they're grown. So I wanted to ask how, because I think that these characters are far in the future. They're in their late 20s. Last time we met them, they were 19. So I guess my question is, how did you evolve? Because you are the creator of this story. How did you evolve writing this story? And how did that involvement show up in this sweet hit? And my second question is, congratulations on the screen adaptation. Anybody who knows me knows I've been rooting for these scenes. And I remember one time I tweeted at you, I was saying, anytime I read Malachi, I see Damson Idris. And now a bunch of people have been telling me Damson Idris is too old. Well, sorry, I want to see Damson Idris shirtless. Sorry. So, if not Damson Idris, Debbie Johnson. So I guess my second question is, who are your three top contenders for Malachi and your three top contenders for Kiki? It's two questions. Calm down, Auntie, please. So those are my questions. Those are my questions. Thank you.
So
technically I'm not allowed to answer the second question anyway. So I'll answer the first question, which is how did I write them more mature? Which is actually it's like really easy because I'm just older. I think Honey and Spice. Not a lot of people know this, but it was really a story that lived with me since I was literally Kiki and Malachi's age. I just happened to publish it when I was 26, 27. And so now I'm in my 30s and I can look back at my late 20s. So I have more of an insight into that age, and I have also the wisdom of being older than them. So it was literally just my maturity as a person and as a writer. And also, when you get older and you're in a relationship, you also know how nuanced love is, and you get to know the depth even more. So I think I just brought that knowledge to them. But it was really fun to write them as the same people, but different, and making the same different choices according to what they've been through and what they know now.
Thank you so much. Okay, from the other angle, not you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. My first question is for Bolu. Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hi. My first question is for Bolu. You said you talked about reading widely in informing the way you write.
Yes.
I wanted to know, what do you take from the different genres and different things that you read to inform the way that you write? That's for Bolu. And then for
question.
Fati, I observed that a lot of your fans and your readers, they speak about your books very vividly. It's like gist. But I also do feel like there is a technique to be able to create that experience for them in the writing. And I wanted to know about that process and how you're able to distill the work so that when people read it, it feels that way. And they can kind of, if it's something that's deliberate for you, or if there's any kind of like form involved in the making of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that question so much. I read a lot of poetry, which sometimes surprises people, but I feel like sometimes when I'm stuck or when I'm blocked, poetry really opens my mind and allows me to enter the fluidity of language and writing, and I feel like lyricism is part of our culture anyway, in how we speak and communicate. So it just helps me to get back into that. Literary fiction, just because of the craft. And how sentences are structured. And I always go back to Toni Morrison, just because, you're just going to go back to a great. And I love a lot of magical realism, African magical realism, Latin American magical realism. For the same reason, opens my mind, and I think opens the concept of possibility, which I think, even though I'm writing a very grounded world, it helps me just kind of imagine new things and make it a little bit more interesting to read. But yeah, thank you for the question.
So I think because I started writing what I wanted to read, those two books, honestly, I wrote for myself. There was a time I would actually read them over and over. Not now. Unfortunately, now everyone likes them, so I don't really feel attached to them like that. But there was a time I actually sit down and I'll go through Wattpad and I'll read my chapters. And even when I was editing, things that I didn't care for, I would remove, kind of thing, right? And so I wrote what I wanted to read. Like if I was reading a book, I would be like, this part, I really don't care about it. So in my book, I'd make sure like I wouldn't, sort of digress like that. And I think maybe because it's also in the first person. And these girls are usually guarded in real life. So it feels like you're getting inside gist, because really they are. No one is going to come tell you these stories, right? So I think that the subject matter also makes it sort of pulls you in, and it tells you about these secrets that honestly you wouldn't hear otherwise. So I think that's what it is.
Sorry, we have to give it to the girl who's in the front.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Fatima. Okay.
Hello, everyone. You will get a chance to ask your question.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Fatima. Hi, Bolu. I'm Betty, and this question is for you, Fatima. First off, before asking the question, I want to say thank you so much, because the quote, a reader lives 1,000 lives, is now true because of how you shared what happens in enough. I wasn't aware of that at all. I never knew how polygamy worked there. I never knew how, the whole luck thing. Because that luck word was really prevalent in the book. She would say, luck again. And I really love that. And I never knew the whole, divorce process. It was edutaining. The book was edutaining, educative and entertaining. But my question now is, in light of the theme reclaiming truth, what is one lie or one misconception you always hope to clear when you're writing? That's my question.
Thanks, Betty. As someone who grew up reading about myself and watching things about myself, I think the lie I would like to correct is we are all the same. Honestly, you can understand how annoying it is when we read those books, and it's always the same thing. It's always the same girl, in the hijab or the scarf, who really can't talk to her father because, well, he's just an angry man, and he always marries her off to an older guy, and she always doesn't like it. And yeah, they just always paint us in this way that of course, those girls exist and their stories need to be told. But of course, that's not all we are. That's not all Northern girls are. So that's, I think, what I'm really trying to correct with my stories.
Okay, so that's it for now. So my very good friend Benny has a question for Bolu. So he was like, why did you decide to continue Kiki and Malachi's story? Why?
I felt like, because I had the choice of not writing it, but then when I was playing, and I had a 2-book deal, but I was like, I'll probably just use the second book for something else. But when I finished Malachi and Kiki's story, I was like, actually, I'm not done. It just felt like I wasn't finished with it. They fell in love in university, and I really felt like the love would stand the test of time, so I wanted to test it with time and see how it would fare when real life and interacts with their love, and how they're a bit more jaded now. They've been through darker things, and so it was just that I just didn't feel like their story was finished.
Okay, thank you. That will be all for the questions today. Oh, I'm sorry. There's still chance. Signing is going on out there. You will get a chance to. Oh, you get a chance, my love.